And we are live, and welcome back to another installment of ENTP Life Live Q&As. I guess that's what we're going to call it for now. In this series, I am covering an update on my Italian properties. Just this week, I released a video on why someone should choose Mussomeli, Sicily, which is in Italy, as a place to purchase their cheap property. Italy, as a country at large, is experiencing a population decrease, especially in some of the smaller towns. And there are a lot of abandoned homes. And one of the initiatives to try to get those homes filled up again and get the economy moving and just not allowing these communities to fall into disrepair is to sell these properties for €1, $1 is all it costs, and not technically, but that's how much they're being advertised for and promoted for. So I am one of those people who went out there and bought one of these properties. Actually, I bought two of them, and I like to update you guys on where we are in that process because there's a lot of people who are here on the channel that actually came to know me here on ENTP Life through that program. I did a video that went semi-viral, and because of that, a lot of people who've been curious or who have been researching this because they found out about it by some other avenue have come across the page and are really curious about how I'm going through this. And I've been going through it step by step, showing you exactly what my experience has been. It's almost a year since I actually went to Sicily and started the series. And I have to admit that I apologize for constantly repurposing content because we haven't been able to go back to Italy since the purchase. So I have little snippets that I get from my contractor, which I'm using to piece together another video. But I won't be going back till later this year when I'm able to get into the country to do my final staging and that sort of thing. So really, I'm just trying to give as many updates as possible and give you, the viewer, an opportunity to ask questions as far as how the process goes and how my experience has been, just so you're able to make the best sort of decision for you. So in this live, I'm going to give it about 5 minutes. We're about 2.5 minutes in for people to get notified and make their way on over. And then I'm just going to talk about the experience for about 5 minutes or so, just to give the overview and background on the program and what I've done and what it's looked like, what it looks like for me so far. And then I'm going to just turn it over for questions because I think I have enough content on the page or on the channel that highlights the program, the ins and outs of it. We've done interviews with other Italians and other Italian residents. I did an interview with an expat from the United States, Davo, who covers his experience, and he's actively investing in Italy, not just buying cheap Euro homes, but he's building a portfolio of Italian real estate outside of Milan. So all of that is covered on the playlist. That is $1 houses or cheap Italian properties. I don't remember what it's named, but it's something like that. And there's maybe over an hour worth of content at this point, definitely over an hour worth of content at this point, explaining a lot of the basics that most people ask. There's been quite a few people who've reached out to me. So those of you who've reached out to inquire about who am I working with, I appreciate your queries, and I hope that the introductions that I'm making are working out for you. We have about 1 more minute before we get started, and hopefully we have some more participation, and it's going to be an exciting session. So far, penny stock investors in the house, welcome. Hello, and thanks for the content. Well, thank you for coming by and being here. I remember starting out with just a few, actually with no subscribers, talking to the internet. But now, the channel has grown significantly. We're knocking on 20,000 subscribers. So anytime that you guys come out, comment, engage with the channel, come here on the live, ask questions, it makes it feel more real. It makes it feel like I have friends on the other side that are following along and kind of sharing this dream. Um, and really, that's what ENTP life is about. I've been trying to find my voice, and I think I found it. What is the purpose of my channel? And the purpose of my channel is to help the public live their life stream. I tend to focus on things that make money, because I think that's usually most people's bottleneck in pursuing what's really in their heart is how do I afford to live. So I really try to focus on how to make money to alleviate that pressure, so that you guys who are trying to live a life outside of the typical format of work yourself to retirement, 65, 70 years old. For those of you who want to do it a little differently, I want to at least cover the money part and then show you a bunch of different ways to get the money figured out, as well as different ways to live. So I hope that I'm able to inspire, hope that I'm able to educate. And that's, I think, what my channel is really about, trying to get people to live their dreams, and really serve as an example of someone who's doing that, and what steps I took. So thank you guys for joining us. Ivan, welcome. Hello, I'm from Mussomeli, but I live in the UK. Did you also restructure the house? Did you like Mussomeli? Sadly, not so many people speak English, but they're very friendly. People, enough people speak English, and they may not speak English fluently, but I would say more people in Italy speak English than I come across Americans that speak another language. So they're going to have, a lot of the Italians are going to have at least basic survival English. Hi, how are you? Maybe give me directions, and truly express that they're there to help, rather than just shrug their shoulders and ignore you. Remember, I'm from New York City, where that is totally possible, where somebody's like, I don't speak your language, dude, and just blow right past you like you're trash. I didn't get that interaction in Mussomeli. In fact, looking like an outsider, which I stick out like a sore thumb over there. The pace that I walk, I'm still walking New York speed. My physical appearance, I don't look like your traditional Italian. So style of dress, body language, all those things, you could tell a foreigner right away, no matter what country you're in. So the people saw me looking like a foreigner, and they were ready and willing to engage me, talk to me. Some guys were trying to practice their English with me, older guys too, like grandpa age. And they got the English speaker to come and talk to me. So very friendly, small town vibe. And in small towns, people are generally good. So that was awesome. Yeah. So thank you, Renee. I will do my best to keep it coming. Okay. So this week's video on Sunday, I put out top 5 reasons to consider Mussomeli as a place to settle on a cheap Euro property. I listed that it is an established town, has a bank, has supermarkets, pharmacies, the basics that you need. It's a little ways off of the public transportation line, but that public transportation line is a short cab ride away. All right, it's not in town; it's in the next town over. It has a completely relaxed vibe. It's perched up in the mountains. Old feel, has that, looks like Italy, or looks like the imagery that we have of Italy in our minds, especially as Americans and Western folk, that our country is a lot younger, so it looks totally different than Italy. Cost of living being low, etc. Now, where Mussomeli is positioned in the country, or not in the country, well, positioned in the country is all the way south, right? As far as positioned within the province or region of Sicily, is in kind of in the middle. So for people who want to be near the coast, Mussomeli may not be for you, because you're going to be about 45 minutes from Agrigento. And it's a decent ride. It's not totally doable, in my opinion. But if you really want to be in one of the coastal towns, Mussomeli is not for you. However, I felt kind of comfortable making my purchase in Mussomeli because it was so cheap, and because the drive wasn't like burdened with traffic. It wasn't a miserable drive. It's actually a leisurely 45-minute drive to the coast. If you go into the north coast, into the main city of Sicily, which is Palermo, it's about an hour and 40 minutes, almost 2 hours. And it's supposed to be getting shorter once they finish the road work. But again, not a bad ride, pretty leisurely. Not sure how frequently somebody's going to want to travel to Palermo, but if you wanted to hang out there on the weekends, let's just say you spent your time during the week working and kind of staying home and working on the house, farming, whatever it is that you're going to be doing in Mussomeli. If you want to break out for the weekend and enjoy the city life, or commute to another city within Italy or another city within Europe or in the world, really, you could shoot on over to Palermo, make a long weekend out of it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and pretty much go wherever you want for another 2-3 hours in any direction, and really have diversity in your experience living in Europe. So the real trade-off for me is that I think I am in love with how cheap it is there. And I've been in a lot of countries in the world, and I have never seen equivalent real estate at that price anywhere. I haven't seen the Euro homes in what's this place called, in Spain yet, but being in Brazil, being in Colombia, being in the U.S., Thailand. I know they have some cheap properties in rural Japan too, but I haven't been there, so I haven't seen them. I haven't seen decent real estate like this cheap. I know they have some cheap properties in the U.S., like in Detroit. I guess that would be like the equivalent. But to think about having this like historical sort of house in a romantic, literally a romantic place, is, I think, remarkable. And I think it alleviates the pressure of can I afford this, right? So it gets you, it's like the starter, the entry point, in my opinion, to living in Italy, retiring in Europe, living that dream that a lot of people have of literally, so many comments. My dream is to retire in Italy. My dream has been to live in Italy and learn the language, speak the language, enjoy the food, enjoy the culture. So you tend to see a lot of people kind of like, well, how much is going to cost? I heard it's expensive in Rome, and they get fixated to Rome, Venice, etc., the tourist hotspots, Milan. And for me, Italy is like the size of an American state. So being able to bounce around to all those cities is just like driving from one town to the next, or hopping on a 1-hour flight somewhere. It's totally reasonable. And I think it's a great entry point for anybody who's been even flirting with the idea of running off to another country, retiring early, benefiting from global arbitrage, being a digital nomad, etc., because the entry point is so cheap. All right. So just to give you some background, these houses are for sale for so low because people are leaving the cities. These houses, many of them are abandoned, or they're like family, I guess, inherited homes. It was grandma's house. Everybody moved from Mussomeli to another city. We have one gentleman here that was in the UK. He's from Mussomeli, but now lives in the UK. They left in pursuit of education, in pursuit of jobs, in pursuit of change. And a lot of people actually come back after they've made their money. They're like, I kind of like my pace there and my cost of living, because you're able to stretch your dollar a lot further. I paid $5,000 for I would say it's about 40 square meters or 400 square foot home. It's a 1-bedroom home, 1 bedroom upstairs, kitchen, living area downstairs, and that's it. Very basic. I'm calling it my $5,000 tiny house. Then I have another home that's facing the cliffs, has parking out front. It's on a road that's accessible by a car. It's across 3 floors. I have it split into a 2-family, like a studio on the first floor. And then I have 2 more bedrooms on the second and third floor. And that's now a 2-family house, the way that I've converted it. So I have a total of 3 units in Italy that I paid less than $20,000 for. Pretty cool in my book. Both of them were livable. The $12,000 one was totally move-in ready, outdated, but move-in ready. There was nothing that technically needed to be done other than making it look aesthetically better. And then the €5,000 property, it was livable. I could have moved in. The water was running. It was free of leaks and that sort of thing. But it was a little more dingy. But once again, I could have cleaned that up living in there myself within a few weeks. It would have been turned around. So that's what it was. Now, the way that the transactions work are like any real estate transaction in that I know of, at least. You put a down payment down, you sign contracts, somebody, either the title agency, notary, attorney, whoever, does the background check, clears the property as being transferable. On closing day, you make the remaining payment and you pay all the fees for transfer and taxes and that sort of thing. And you are the proud owner of that property. I go over that on one of my videos, and just look for that playlist and you'll see what the step-by-step process is, just so I don't kind of burn out on time here. But it's a pretty straightforward process. Right away, I'll tell you, you're not going to buy your residency by buying one of these properties. There's this guy called the digital, nomad capitalist. He I like him. I like his delivery. He's most likely an ENTP as well. I wouldn't be surprised. But he recently did a video on some of the residency programs that exist for investors. So for those of you who are thinking about opening hotels and that sort of thing and want to put more money in and buy your residency, Italy has made some modifications to that program. I'm not well versed in it, but you can check out Nomad Capitalists to see exactly how that's structured and how it's gotten a little sweeter for the pay to play sort of resident. But these properties don't get you residency. They get you a home in Italy that you can use as a vacation house. You're going to have to follow the standard Euro visa guidelines. I think it's 90 days every 180 days or something like that. So you could pretty much stay in Italy 6 months out of the year. You just have to go and come back according to their schedule. Another thing that I get asked a lot is, can I use a mortgage? Lenders do not like to lend small amounts of money, especially on real estate. It's the same amount of work for them to underwrite a $1 million mortgage as it is for them to underwrite a €10,000 purchase. Why would they do all that work to make such a small amount of money? To charge you even 10% a year, which is high in my opinion, on $10,000, only $1,000. Why would they want to do that? So there's no mortgages. Expect to pay cash. If you want, get a line of credit or get a loan from your personal bank and pay for it that way. That way you can finance it out if you don't want to plop out the cash. Put it on your credit card. You won't be able to swipe for the transfer, but you might be able to do a cash advance or something along those lines as far as a means of paying for it. As far as construction is concerned, I have all the contacts you need. The contractor that I've been working with, very friendly, very helpful. His name is Luca. He could get you squared away. He's done my 2 properties. He did my buddy Sean's property, and I've referred him to plenty of people. And sooner or later, I'm going to start seeing how their projects came out. As far as the real estate agent's concerned, I work with Valeria. A lot of people say that Valeria's timing is not that great, but you have to remember this program has been advertised on CNN and multiple news outlets multiple times. And she has a general email inbox. So she gets bombarded with people looking for Euro homes that are just kind of kicking the tires. So it takes her time to get through it. It took her a few months to reply to me. And that's just what it was. But from the point that she replied and we made an appointment, she started to follow up with me more and more and more. And now I get her in real time because I'm a client, I'm a paying client, I'm a referring client. So expect some delays at first, just because the funnel is pretty large up top. Um, but she will get to you, and she speaks English, she speaks Italian, and if you're a French speaker, her partner speaks French. And then there's Nicolo at Retire to Italy and Auctions to Italy. I interviewed him here as well. He has an auction site that's facilitating these sales as well. So you can check out auctions, the number 2, Italy.com, and you will be able to see what inventory they have in a few different locations throughout Italy, and you can see whether or not there's a property there for you. He also knows how to navigate the super bonus, which is a tax credit that allows you to get reimbursed for the construction that you do to renovate these homes. So there's a lot of things going on here that puts you in almost the perfect position to take a chance and not be taking on too much risk. It's $10,000-$20,000 to potentially have your vacation home or your retirement home for life. And then the maintenance from month to month is very low. You have your little garbage bill, your water bill, your electricity. That's going to come out to less than $100 a month, or maybe about $100 a month, depending on usage. And then you have your property taxes. Property taxes are $600 a year on my properties. So that's what, another $50. So you can maintain it for about $150, max $200 a month. So it's not really that much of a carrying cost. So I would say go for it. Take the chance. If you have children, your kids will love it. If you're an artist or creative, just getting away for a few months, tucked away in the mountains, might be great for you artistically. I just recommend it 100%. I'm going to turn it on over to the questions, because I see the comments kind of going wild here, and I want to make sure that I'm addressing everybody's questions. So feel free to rattle them off, and I'll get through them over this hour call. We got Florida checking in. Welcome, Shay. Appreciate it. Ivan says, Mussomeli is a beautiful town. Also, you find genuine food, and the quality of life is very good. No smog, quality food, which I agree, friendly people, and nice movida during Saturday and Sunday. What is movida? Curious. Much love, Carl. Your flip financing videos have been really helpful recently. Oh, awesome. What type of projects are you pursuing? Carlo Zapp. A lot of people want to see a volcano, but would you want to buy a property and live there? I could live just about anywhere. Would I make my home Mussomeli at this point in my life? No, it wouldn't be my primary residence or where I spend the majority of the year. Could I see myself living there full time? Yes. And it could be in a few different capacities. If I decided that I wanted to start farming, I would live there. If I got completely tired of the city life and I wanted my children to have a completely alternative experience than what I had, just so that they could get some other exposure, I would consider living there for a few years. It's south enough that the weather is mild, the people are cool, and I can bounce around Sicily easily, and I can bounce around Europe. So I think it would be culturally really good for my kids. And I think if you're someone who, let's just say you always wanted to have like a restaurant or bed and breakfast, or like a smaller owner ran hospitality service, I think it's good for that too. It won't be a huge money maker because you're not going to charge that much money in Mussomeli, and the volume of people, depending on how many of us crazy foreigners come in and invade, but the volume of people isn't that high that you're gonna make a killing, right? But if you wanted to explore a culinary experience or something else, some sort of other social service, it might be good for you there too. I think it's positioned well enough that you could get to and from other cities, that when you do need that change, or you do need products or services or something along those lines that just aren't available in Mussomeli, you're not completely isolated and completely alone. So I think people can. It just depends on what your objectives are and who you are and what you want to do. If you're a digital nomad, and then you just need to work in peace and quiet, and you want low cost of living, think about it. You could live there on less than $1,000, or probably about $1,000 a month between food, um, your just your monthly carrying cost. $1,000 a month, I don't think it's that hard to make passively. Seems like you're say boring. It's up to you. I can't define what's boring. Uh, Boring is being in a place that you don't want to be in, right? Some people could be bored in the city, right? But totally at peace and happy in a rural area, taking care of sheeps. So it's relative. Penny stock investor. I'm ready to leave the U.S. My realtor came by and gave me an estimate on my house. I'm thinking about renting it. I'm renting out my house. Um, Give it a shot. I'm going to push. I just had this conversation with my buddy who's thinking about moving to another country. Uh, if you're thinking about it, give it a try, and at least you'll get your answer. Trying something for 6 months, for a year to gain clarity is better than uh, wondering what if. So you rent your house out. Most tenants pay their rent. I think at this point, more than 75% of people are still paying their rent. At least that's how it is with my tenants at this point, are still paying their rent. So if you really qualify a tenant, make sure they're kind of in one of those essential roles, that they have a job that hasn't gone anywhere, and it should be fine. Give it a shot. Where are you thinking about going? Ivan, exactly. Lots of people during the end of the week, they go to Agrigento or Palermo. Also Mussomeli. It's not far from Agrigento, and in 20 to 30 minutes you arrive at the ocean. Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Carlo's app. Wow, tried to sell real estate. I gotta label you as a negative person, Carlo. Yeah, you're. Look at this guy. Carlo's trying to discourage people from doing something because he personally wouldn't do it. Just as I'm trying to encourage people to do what I have done. Um, I don't profiteer off of these properties yet, so I just think, you have your pessimism for whatever reason. Um, I would encourage you to go where you want to go and buy what you want to buy. If Musameli is not for you, it's not for you. He won't go. Global arbitrage, nice word. Yeah. I actually feel bad for people like Carlo. You have to do something. Maybe this brings you pleasure, so God bless you if it does. Um, but I don't think it pays at all to perfect the craft of being um, negative. I guess people like you are needed in the world to make positive exist, but I think you would do yourself way more good, um, just pursuing what makes you happy. Ivan, Carlo Zapp, the volcano. It's very far from Mussomeli, Agrigento, and Palermo, maybe 3 to 4 hours driving with a car. Even if you buy a house there, it's safe. The houses are far from the volcano. Valerian Steel in the house. How are you? Let me see. Is that a gray hair? Yeah, it's not lint. reset the camera. Okay. What are the building codes like and how are they enforced? I'm wondering about the structural integrity of 100-year-old properties. So they're 100 plus years old and they're still there. So they're doing all right by that standard, right? They're still there. Most of them are still standing. Some of them have crumbled. And the building code, I don't know. No idea. I count on the contractors for that. And if my $5,000 stack of rocks collapses into a pile of rocks, okay, hopefully it doesn't do it while I'm in it. So I would say, for the most part, the contractors can indicate whether or not the property is structurally sound. And also that super bonus I spoke to you about, I think they pay 110% of what you spent in tax credit for structural reinforcement. So if that's something that concerns you, and you're allowed to be concerned about that, if it's something that concerns you, I would definitely look into securing that super bonus to make it structurally sound and secure. But for the most part, the way I like to look at it is like properties that have been there for hundreds of years are have proven to stand the test of time. You're going to need to upkeep it. You're going to need to do those sort of things, but that's about it. I didn't get rattled. What, it's kind of like the squeaky tire, right? The squeaky tire gets the oil. So you're making noise and you're actually planting like seeds of doubt into people. And if you ever pay attention to people when they're actually out there talking about what inspires them or what they want to do, they can always reference, that one naysayer that said, don't do it. You're going to fail or whatever. So that negativity tends to like be loud in the minds of people who are trying to do something else. And I just don't think it's right that you try to continue to sow doubt in people's minds. I just don't, I don't think you're offering any value by saying that. You're not giving any counters as to other places that you would consider potentially in Italy or at the same price point. You're just out there saying, gibberish. So, that's just what it is. And I'll address you because you're making a public statement. It's just not my thing. Would I sell it? Yeah, of course I would sell it. I'd probably keep one. But I haven't, it's not part of my plan to flip any of these. I think if somebody came along and said, hey, I really like this property and gave me a price that I thought was outrageous, I probably would sell it. If I got tired of it and it was a nuisance for me, I'd probably sell it. But right now, I haven't even spent one night in either one of them. I haven't rented it out. I haven't tested the market. So selling is not on my immediate agenda. Travel Jones, my brother, buying properties overseas is number one on my list of things to do. Thank you for the content. Also, please enable super chats or let us know where we can donate to you. Cheers. Let me see. I have started to set up my my nonprofit, and I think in due time I'll be able to take donations there. When I stream, I stream on a service called StreamYard, and I don't even know how I would enable that for the lives. I'm not sure. I've never done it. I've never really looked at trying to kind of get those donations. But since you're recommending it, I might as well. Um, yeah, that's it. Uh, okay, Trey TL 11. Can almost anything be written off with the super bonus? Would you recommend this for a 1 year home? Okay. The bonuses and the tax credits are on a sliding scale. There are certain things that qualify for, I guess, what would be considered the super bonus or the highest end of it. So that's 110% of the fair market repair cost, right? So they'll put like a cap. Let's just say a roof in that neighborhood costs $10,000 to repair. That would be the limit, and then they'll give you 1,100 because there's some administrative costs and that sort of thing. I mean 11,000, 10% over. If you were to get it done for 8,000, then you'd submit for 8,000. But they're gonna set an upper limit to what you could claim, and it depends on the municipality and what is like the accepted fair market value for that. Then there's other credits that are like at 90%. I believe the facade. If you're going to do facade improvements, that's at 90% of your cost tax credit. And then there's others that are down at 60%. And there's certain things that don't even qualify. So if you were to speak to Nicolo at Retire to Italy or Auctions to Italy, the guy who I did that interview with, he knows the parameters on the super bonus better than me. I'm working with him so I could qualify for the super bonus for some of the facade work on one of my properties and maybe some HVAC and heating improvements. So there's different tiers and different levels and different things that qualify. I hope that answered it. Ivan, Movida means in Italian lots of people. Okay, during Saturday and Sunday, it's full, it's all full in Mussomeli. Yeah, and I heard in the summer times too, when people are coming, like people are coming back down from school, people are coming from work, because we know that those on the south of Europe like to enjoy their summers. That Mussomeli gets busier than in the winter when I went in February of 2020. So a lot of people told me that, hey, things do wake up here right now. It's kind of lowest season of the year. Come the holidays, come the weekends, things get busy. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that's right, dreamer, and I happen to pull the majority of my dreams into reality. Uh, Ivan says restaurant cinemas and also people from outside Musameli come to eat pizza. They're really nice pubs and restaurants. There was a pub that I went to. I got uh, pretty hammered in there, and then started partying with like a group that was in from Colombia and Germany. They were doing like I believe they were like English teachers doing some sort of international exchange. It was pretty cool. Driss, great job. I'll be visiting this summer. I hope to see you there. Um, Carlo, I appreciate that you're obviously watching closely and very engaged. Um, I will be in Colombia, and I will be in Brazil, and I will be in Musameli, and I will be in Florida, and I will be wherever uh, I can go. So, thank you for highlighting that. How is the inventory? So, last that I was there, the one Euro properties I featured on the site, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are still there. There was a one there was a home that I spoke about briefly, and this is my own mistake. There was a home that if you see my two-story house or my three-story house that's facing the cliff, there was a house that if you're facing the front of my home was to the right. It was kind of like a wide format two level home. I inquired about it. I got Valeria to find out who the owner was and ask them would they be willing to sell it for €1. They agreed, and then I got cold feet because of all the COVID nonsense. And I was like, it won't sell. It was in pretty good shape, solid bones, good roof, wasn't that bad. And after, I don't know, I started feeling a little bit better about how things were. Found out that it sold. And the idea, like oh man, I have such a good idea for this property. But the idea was to make it into like a workshop in a way for creatives, and open up the front of it so that the entire front was largely glass because it also faces the cliff. And I was going to kind of make it a communal space, maybe try to teach some sort of Airbnb experience, something like homemade pasta or how to make, American style tacos or something like that. But the inventory is there. I would say there's a decent inventory of €1 homes, but a lot of them are going to be in pretty bad shape. This one was in particularly decent shape for €1. Then there's going to be quite a few premium listings in the old side of town, because the old side of town is what people kind of migrated away from. And that's something that I don't really talk about. Mussomeli is kind of split between New Town and Old Town. Old Town is where the Euro homes are. All the houses are attached and there's no yards, it's narrow streets. And they're old. The new side of town has all the new construction. So a lot of old town residents who didn't leave Mussomeli bought into the newer buildings that have more amenities and that sort of thing. So for them, it's kind of like, there's no driveways, there's no garage. It's kind of inconvenient for full-time living, depending on where you are. Because if you have a car, for like my house on Paolo Valenza, you have a car, you're not going to get your car back there. You're going to have to park your car in the piazza if there's a spot and maybe pay for it or that sort of thing. And there's going to be like a 2 or 3 block walk to your car. My house on Del Campo, that one has parking in the front, is accessible by the car. It's a better location for Old Town and has a pretty great view. So the inventory there is kind of like a mix of that. Either it's going to be tucked away or it's going to be somewhat premium, or it ranges, but there is inventory there. It's not, they haven't sold out, and I don't anticipate that happening either. Do you think it's better to invest in residential or vacation properties? I live in close proximity to mountains, so I was thinking a cabin might be a good investment. I don't have like a preference of one versus the other. Vacation rentals are going to be more maintenance. There's going to be more wear and tear on the property because there's going to be people coming in and out with luggage and that sort of thing. You're going to need to manage regular cleaning. You're going to need to manage people's questions. Oh, excuse me. The burps start. You're going to need to manage people's questions. You're going to need to rely on the economy to be pretty good and for travel to be permissible. But you're going to make more money per night, right? And per day. So you have to look at what is your average tenancy. Are you at like 60%? Are you at like 90%? Is it in high demand? And you have to look at the comparables. You could use software like AirDNA. You could even use Airbnb to project what your revenue is going to be. You're going to have to look into what other people are charging. So you could do your research on the vacation rental to determine, is it really worth it, right? Let's just say on a residential standard lease, you might get $2,000 a month for a property. I have one property that just added to Airbnb that's kind of like in a mountainous area. I would be able to get $2,300 to $2,500 a month for it, and I'm able to get $4,800 on Airbnb. But I'm going to have to manage those people. And it's not that bad to manage it, but I'll be making more money, okay? And once I get to more properties, I'm going to hire an assistant just to manage those vacation rentals overseas. So my costs will be very low, and then I won't have to really deal with any of the queries or anything like that. But you have to decide which one it's going to be. If you want less headaches, not headaches, but if you want less interaction with whoever is occupying the space, residential. If you're looking to potentially make more money and don't mind the increased engagement, then I would say vacation rentals. Jonathan's dogs deal. I'm not sure how to start making some cash flow. I'm 19 and have about 5K to invest. 5K. I'm not a financial advisor by profession. I see a lot of people do these disclaimers. I'm not sure if I'll get in trouble if I didn't disclaim that I'm not a financial advisor. With $5,000, what would I do? I would either do a group real estate investment, or I would potentially try to get an Airbnb rental just so I could get that $5,000 to be a little more money. Trading stocks can be an option, but even if you're doing very well, like doing 20% a year, for instance, on $5,000, you're only going to make 1,000. So it's not going to really push you further. So I would try to maybe do flips within a group, flips that you might be able to turn that 5,000 into 7,500, 7,500 into, 10,000, 12,000, and kind of keep flipping like that. Or I would try to get into a cash flow heavy business like a rent to rent vacation rental. Because at least that way, if you're cash flowing 1,000 a month, let's just say, and your starting point was 5K, which it's not that realistic. I think you'll be closer to 10K to get started. But let's just say you were able to get 5K, started at 5K because you took over a furnished apartment, right? So you just took over a lease and that's it. And you rented that back out on Airbnb and made $1,000 a month. You would at least end the year up 12,000, which is 200% above where you started. Another thing that I would do if I were you, I would get another job. I don't know what you're doing for work now, but if you're off in the summers, at 19 years old, it wasn't uncommon for me to work 16, 18-hour days between multiple jobs. I was in college. I had a healthcare staffing firm, and I worked overnights at Target. I worked overnights at Planet Fitness. So I try to make money every minute that I could, weekends, etc. And that allowed me to save more aggressively. So I would recommend things like that. If you could drive Uber, deliver food, anything, even if you're making an extra $50 a day average, $100 a day average, you make $100 a day additional money because you drive Uber for 5 hours or something like that in the evenings, and you save that money, you're going to have, $36,000 at the end of that year. So those are the sort of things I would do. The yield that you're going to get on 5K, it's just not going to be much, and it's going to discourage you. So I would try to do whatever I can to get the seed capital up as much as possible, either raising money from other people and doing a bigger deal. So that at least the return on investment is larger. So you start to actually make money that makes a difference. But that's my recommendation. Let's see what else this guy Carlo has to say. Full of real estate people like him trying to sell old dilapidated properties on which they have an interest, also in the rehab. Yes. Yeah, that would be great. That's how economies move. And if people are sitting around not doing anything besides complaining, then nobody makes money, and they have, I guess, a lot of time to sit around and complain. So if you want your economy to move and your town to not become a ghost town, then you have to sell what's there, which is a lifestyle, which is something that people may be attracted to. You can't make money on pessimism, man. Gregory Jones, your flip videos have helped us plan gut renovations on residential properties with grant funding. Awesome. To eventually offer peer support services out of renovated spaces. Awesome. Greg, glad to hear. Keep me updated. You could reach out to me. I put my email out there in comments or whatever. You could reach out to me. Love to hear what you're doing, what areas you're kind of getting active in. being a home health care operator, I kind of like to see where I can merge uh, my home health experience and my human services experience with real estate at times. So I like to hear what other people are doing within space. So always feel free to reach out. Valeria, Valerian. How much? Okay, here's the next question. How much are your profits for each unit? Are you renting on Airbnb? Are you renting or Airbnb? Okay, so that's kind of hard to say because I do a rent to rent on office spaces, right? Kind of like the space that I'm in here. This is a space called Spaces that's owned by Regis, kind of like a WeWork, if you're familiar with that model. Um, so we rent and re-rent out space, and we might make $400 to $500 per an office space net a month, um, over what we average it out to be. I would say on a residential property, it depends. Like a regular residential home, I have three family homes that I might make a spread of $1,500 to $1,800 a month when I'm fully occupied there. I have properties that I might be making $400 a month on. Like I mentioned in my last live, properties in Port Jervis, properties in Middletown, I might be seeing three to sometimes $700 spread. Do I have a basement rented? Do I have an accessory apartment rented? Is it just a single home? So it depends. What I shoot for is at least a 3% spread between my obligations on the property and what I'm bringing in. So if I'm bringing in 12%, like following the 1% rule, 12% a year on the asset price, call it $100,000 property that's renting for $1,000 a month, right? That would bring in 12,000. I'd be looking to keep all the expenses below 9,000 a month, my mortgage, my taxes, etc. I mean 9,000 a year, and then my spread would be that 3,000. So that 3%. That's like the what I shoot for. Because as you're paying down that mortgage, you're gonna, in theory, over a 30-year mortgage, you'll pay down 3% every year. So you cash flow 3%, you amortize the debt by 3%, and then in the right markets, your property will probably at least keep up with inflation or appreciate outside of inflation. Some areas estimate 7% property value increases average over the year. So you take the 3% spread in cash flow, 3% in amortization, 7% in appreciation. You're seeing a 13% you know, rate of return overall on that asset. So that's kind of how I like to think of it, more so than how much am I making per unit per door. I really look at it from what is the asset value itself and what am I going to make on that asset. Because if it's $1 million in assets or 15 million or 20 million or 100 million or a billion, I want to know what that asset yields versus the dollar amount per se off of each unit. It's just a different way of thinking about it. Patrick Hughes, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a while. Hey, Carl, came late, but what's it like learning the economy and rules of a new country? Any tips on websites and the kind of people to consult with? Um, learning those nuances, you're going to have to talk to, expect from a real estate standpoint, talk to real estate attorneys, talk to real estate agents. For a residency, you're going to talk to immigration attorneys as well. Speak to professionals who are working in that space and have them advise you. Same thing with taxes. Speak to tax professionals. That's going to be your fastest way. And there's going to be bilingual ones, especially English bilingual. That tends to be what a lot of people are cross-trained in. Websites, I don't really look up things like that. I go to YouTube. So I try to find YouTube personalities that are doing it and listen to them. Like there's a couple in Colombia that's expat to Colombia, I believe is their service. I also mentioned Nomad Capitalist. He's always talking about the different options that are available to you. And he focuses on high net worth individuals. So people who are looking to potentially give up their U.S. residency to protect their assets or their cash values, people who've had major exits, things like that, people who want multiple passports. So I try to follow people like that who are living it, who are doing it, get the get the advice. And if not, then I'm just going to pay the professionals who are trained in that region to advise me. Yeah, super bonus is all right. You know, Seabear, I finally made it to live. Welcome. The lives are just a conversation. Nothing. Same setting, same screaming kid, same screaming uh, grown kid. So, um, that's it. Comfy Chris. Do you use professional property management to keep an eye out on your properties outside the US? So the only properties that I have outside of the US are my Italian properties. The other property I have in Colombia, we surrendered that property because we were getting killed because of the travel restrictions, COVID. It was in a tour. It was in the tourist section of Parque Lleras in Poblado, Colombia, and I just didn't want to cover that bill with zero uh, tenancy for the unforeseeable future. So that project is done. But there I had a partner who functioned as the property manager. In Italy, I'm working with Valeria and with Luca to kind of oversee things. And once I have it in a renting position, I'm going to hire someone to kind of be the day-to-day maintenance and support person. So pay my bills, turn over the apartments, that sort of thing. You could work with professional property management. Usually, the real estate companies in the area are going to either have like a property management person division or at least a referral for you. And depending on what you want out of property management, do you expect them to key into the apartment once a month, just to make sure, once a week, just to make sure you're not having any leaks or any kind of oddities like that? I would rather Airbnb my property out. That way I got people coming in weekly and everybody checking on the property regularly so that I could get complaints, catch maintenance issues ahead of time. I haven't had just like a vacation property that's just for me, that's just sitting around vacant for months at a time. That's not something I've ever owned. I hope that answered your question. If it hasn't, let me know. Ivan, yes, especially during the summer, people from the UK, Spain, America, Germany, and many other countries come to Mussomeli. Also, we have the summer program, Mussomeli Music Band, and many. Oh man, see, these are the things that I'm looking forward to, and I haven't had the chance for the obvious reasons. But I have a feeling that I'm going to be quite satisfied with that. I know my family's going to be to come check it out. So I think it's only going to add texture to my life. Let's see. Bin hexoctal. Bin hexoctal. Okay. If someone has 80K cash to spend for an Italian property, similar to the type you have, how feasible is that in 2021 with wanting to do renovations? 80K to spend for an Italian property similar to the type that you have? Where in Italy? Because 80K is more than enough, way more than enough to do what I'm doing. I think for my larger house, you just need 30K and you could get it done, 30, 35, and you'll be pretty happy with the end result. My smaller house, maybe 15, 20. $80,000, I think is much. I think you could get properties in Palermo, turnkey, ready to move in for that price point, maybe lower. Definitely some of the other smaller cities within than Italy. And at the same time, this is something that I encourage, and I think you're going to see in my this ugly thing. There we go. Um, I think in my video that's coming out this Sunday, which is covering my search in Brazil, I do recommend that if you're testing a market, testing the idea, that potentially you just do a rental. You're gonna, let's just say a property in Mussomeli rents for 500 a month, or you find an Airbnb that does monthly sublets. Try going there for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You're only going to spend $1,500. You're going to get a clear idea of what's going on, and then you'll be able to make a better allocation. I wouldn't just park up $80,000 to on a whim. Um, that's not what I would do. I would if I was testing vacation rentals, I would want to test first, rent to rent, do my research, that sort of thing, or spend way less money to get my answer. Um, if you're going to larger cities, Milan, Rome, Venice, I don't think 80,000 is going to cut it. So you have to kind of know what you want to do. But for Mussomeli and in Sicily and most of those towns that I rattled off, more than enough. Farah, what's up? How are you? Are there more? Is there more? Okay, are there more inventories when you actually go to Italy, or they're the same inventory on the real estate? No, there's more inventory. The real estate site, they don't really update it that frequently. You'll see the Italian pace is different than the American pace for sure, and the infrastructure for real estate. And I think in most international markets, I love how our system works. MLS feeding into the multiple MLS rebroadcasters is so much more efficient than how it is in most other countries. So the updates, the listing, they're not centralized. The pictures are awful. It's just, it's really it's almost like going to I don't mean to insult anybody, but it's almost like going to the internet in 1998 for real estate, maybe 1996. That's the experience that I have. It's like I can't really get anything that I really want out of these international sites, including Brazil, and get my head higher, including Brazil and Colombia. It doesn't compare. I Searching for real estate online in the United States is so much better than I've seen in most other markets. Let's see what Carlos. Okay. Hey, this guy, man, Carlos, Carlo. You're hilarious, man. Because it's a significant effort that you're making here. Seabear, if you were starting out, you could sell your first home for 2 to 300K profit, or you could keep it and rent it out. How do you make the choice in a market like this? How do I make the choice in a market like this? Either 200 to 300K, grab the profit and run, or rent it out long term. I'd probably split the difference. I would probably do a cash out refinance, um, and be able to capture some of that profit. If they depend, I don't know what the ratios are on your deal, but let's just say you bought the property for 500,000. It's now worth 800,000. If you did a cash out at 70% LTV, you're only going to cash out 60, so you're not going to really walk away with much. It really depends. If you have a plan to earn on that 200 to 300,000 in another investment, I would realize that profit now, potentially get two or three more of the deals. I don't know how your deals are structured, but I would probably lean towards selling it, um, and reinvesting it to either produce more in equity compared to the profit. Like, so if it's 300K, I try to maybe buy enough properties to get 400K of equity, rent those out, kind of repeat the same. Um, from a rentals perspective, the cash flow that you're going to generate on the rental, I'm pretty sure is not going to change your circumstances too much. But if you're looking to build a portfolio of a lot of properties, then you're gonna have to keep some. So I don't know. I would, if you want to email me kind of what the numbers are on that deal, to say, okay, you're in for X amount of dollars, the market value is X, and then what your overall goal is. Uh, what would you do with the money? If you're just gonna sit at it, look at it in the bank, I don't know if that's the best place. I think exiting deals now might be a good idea. Um, I just don't know how long interest rates can stay this low. I don't know how long before the market implodes because of how the world economy is. Like a lot of it doesn't make sense. All the properties that I'm flipping, I am already listing. Only have one property that is pending for like renovations, and I'm kind of staying still on the single family range, and I'm trying to hold tight, recapitalize, raise another round of capital, and kind of wait and see. That's kind of where I am now. But I think regarding your question, I need some more details, and it really helps to know what your overall objective and goal is. 5 French. Hi, what's this stream? This this stream is about investing in cheap properties in Italy. There's a few of the towns in Italy that are selling properties as low as €1, trying to revitalize those communities. I'm someone who's gone to one of these towns. I bought properties not at the €1 price point, but at €5,000 and at €12,000. So I'm talking about that experience. And overall, on my channel, I talk about how to invest in real estate, how to develop your business, how to uh, generate passive income so that you can ultimately live the life of your dreams, or the life that you want, whatever that may be. Uh, Yay, taxes, said no one ever. No one likes taxes, but I tell people all the time, if you're paying taxes, that means you're making money. So I'd rather be in a tax paying position than a non tax paying position. If you're paying $30 million in taxes, then you've made way more than 30 million. Um, so can you be really mad at that? It sucks that you have to pay the tax man, but uh, it's that infrastructure that you're using anyway that's in that economy that's allowing you to even make. So it's like, well, you got to pay taxes. You got to pay taxes. Obviously, do your best to minimize your tax responsibility. But if you're paying, you did all right. Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, these are my last questions. Pro Paleo at 5 French. I thought it was about two cheap Mussomeli properties. I guess not. Uh, it was, and people ask questions, and I answer people's questions, and we talk about that. But if you had questions specifically on two cheap properties in Mussomeli, you could ask them. Thanks for sharing the property management. You're welcome. Pro Paleo, I was asking about how much your net profits are and were for the Mussomeli properties. Uh, the Mussomeli properties are still undergoing renovations. So my next step is to actually get back to Mussomeli so that I can decorate the space, put the final touches that I want put on the space, which is changing the fixtures on the cabinets, repainting the cabinets, painting the tiles, maybe changing the cabinetry out in the kitchens altogether, rugs, couches, sprucing up furniture. Then I have to photograph the space so that they're Airbnb ready and friendly. Then I'm going to start generating income. And once I get to that point, then we'll have some more conversations on that. I've seen homes renting as low as $50 a night to as much as $119, $120 a night, depending on weekends and what month you're in. There's a pretty nice property that I saw that's the range. And we'll see what happens when I actually get them listed. But I don't have that information yet. If I told you any different, I would be not telling you the truth. Damian Roberts, 10K towards a $1 home in Italy or a 203K in upstate New York, renting out for $1,000 to $1,200. I would probably go with the 203K upstate. Are you going to be? And this is the question of the day. Are you going to be occupying that property? If you're not, then you're in violation of the owner occupant statute of that. So you don't want to do that. I would go with what's going to make more money. And I believe U.S. real estate will make more money than in Mussomeli. And then I would take money that I'm making from the U.S. and spend it outside of the U.S. or spending on more U.S. assets or other asset classes that perform as well. 10K on the 203K. That means you're probably getting the property for about 100K or so, or all in for 100K, and renting it out for $1,000 to $1,200. I got a property in Middletown for 120. Spent about 40K fixing it. So that's 160. Let's just say 3%, 1632. You probably could have done the same deal on a two-family house if you found the right property. And I'm renting that two-family house out for $3,200 to $3,500 a month. Because I have one unit that's already rented for 16, and then I have the other unit listed for 17. So if all goes well, I'll get it 33. So I would say that those numbers are a lot sexier than the numbers that you're quoting. So I would look for a better 203K. I would get it a two-family, so I can satisfy the owner-occupant portion, and definitely try to generate as much as I can. Even if you were able to finish the basement out on that same loan and get some basement rental, you could wait. You should be aiming for way more than $1,000 to $1,200 a month in income. You can do better than that. So I would push for that. Carlo, have a good night. Hope you sleep well. Last question. Comfy Chris, your income from property in Italy would be paid to you in euro or American dollars. That income is different than employment income in the Italian government's eyes. So from what I understand, I'm not going to pay taxes in Italy on that income, from what I understand. But I would have to probably talk to Nicolo about that and see what he says. But it's I'm not looking at my Italian properties as an investment by any stretch of the imagination. Completely vanity purchase, completely done for fun, really. I knew it would make good content for the channel. And when I got there, it felt right and I did it. When I start operating the property, I'm going to get some more clarity and then I'll be able to fill you in. But the taxes should be low. And as far as the rate's going to be billed and adjusted, right? So it's going to be billed in euros shown in dollars if somebody's booking from the US. And Airbnb will pay me to my US bank account, whatever was collected. Depending on, depending on the country, sometimes Airbnb has to collect hospitality taxes or sale taxes and forward that on their own. I really don't know, to be honest with you. And I'm not thinking about that too much because I know it's fairly negligible for me. So as soon as I'm able to test it, and as soon as I go through one tax year, and then I can kind of address that clearly and say, okay, this is how much everything really cost me. Because what I'm basing it all off of is my estimates, what other people have told me. I have an exit tax question because, like I said, if I make, I'll be happy if each of my properties do over $5,000 a year in Airbnb revenue. I would consider that a win, and then I'll figure out how it all just, breaks down. If I could pay effective net zero out of my income, out of my revenue from other sources, and those properties can support itself or support themselves, I would say, hey, I got a vacation house in Italy for free. That's the way that I would be thinking of it. But that may not be the right answer because it's not how I would approach a vacation rental here. I really don't know. Schenectady. All right. They're 2-family houses. Yeah. So, try to get 2, try to get to 3. And if you feel that you can make it work, make it work. But I would do that rather than you're qualifying for a 2 or 3K first time buyer. You may be new to real estate investing. I wouldn't start with investing in another country. I would invest in a market that I know, in a tax zone that I understand, in a place where I'm able to get financing, in currency that, I'm comfortable with. Yeah, I would not start my investing career in Italy unless I was living there. So that's that. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining me here for another installment of our lives. If you have any other questions, check out one of the other videos. Shoot your questions in the comment section. I hope I've been able to touch in on the topic of the day. Some of it was obviously on Italy, which is great. Some of it is not, which is also great because some of you have come to this channel from other sources, aviation, learning about how to flip real estate, learning about how to start a nursing agency, Airbnb. People are coming to the channel from multiple sources. Some people are here all about Brazil because they're thinking about relocating to Brazil. But it's good for you guys to ask questions because one conversation, one piece may plant a seed for you for, ultimately a redirection of your life. So all questions are welcomed. We try to keep it to the topic. For those of you who, I guess, didn't like that, the best thing that you could do is help us recenter the conversation by asking a question related to the topic. All right. So thanks again for joining me here at ENTP Life. If you haven't already liked this video, please like it. It helps push it out to more people. And also, when the video is rebroadcasted, like it, share it. If you're not already a subscriber, you know what to do. Hit the subscription button. And that's it, man. It's time for me to go to sleep. Take care. And don't forget this Sunday update on Brazil.